To build the Xbox was to create a platform that would be developer friendly and allow developers to exercise their creativity to max and get the credit they deserve and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Capital Entertainment Group was pretty much the same idea, but coming at it not from the hardware end, from the business side.
Well,
So-
Xbox was a failure. Xbox is the Halo player. I mean, that was the sad truth of the fact, was that we made this platform that was designed to, do all of those things, and it did a lot of them. But the business of games didn't change. In fact, it became more solidified in the sense that fewer interesting games were made than ever after Xbox came out. In fact, now looking at it from the standpoint of publishers, knowing all about that business, it's terrifying. What a new platform, and that disincentivizes people from taking greater financial risk on new titles. So, it was like, what's going on? There are more crappy licensed games than ever, and my friends like Warren are having fewer opportunities than ever to make new games, and it's the opposite of what we wanted to have happen. And so, it launched, and then it was successfully a platform for me to get engaged, and I realized that the thing I really cared about, which is like the evolution of games as a medium, the thing that drove me to screw up Trespasser and drove me to make all those physics demos and drove me to work with Doug and drove me to try to make this platform, and the thing that the whole way through was exciting to me, which is getting to see where games go, was almost being inhibited by this. And that was a really crappy moment. I guess my entire life has been an exercise in running scared out of my mind from really shitty situations. But I understood that that the problem had to do with business, and then I had to learn something about business, and then I had to find a way to finance or to allow to be made somehow the kinds of great games that I dreamed would have been on Xbox, and the kind of great game that I dreamed Trespasser would be. And simultaneously, I was noticing all my friends getting just screwed in this industry, not in the sense that they should all become multimillionaires and have their own island and jet, but screwed in the sense that they were, not getting enough financial freedom to make beautiful things. They were having to make do in a medium that should be, changing the world and doing all manner of beautiful things.
And so Capital Entertainment Group was an attempt to change the business model, because we have, as you have said repeatedly tonight and throughout the years I've known you, we have a crappy business. In what ways is it crappy? What are the forces that result in the lack of beautifulness that you just described? And in what ways was Capital Entertainment Group an attempt to address those?
Well, Capital Entertainment Group, the forces that impede creativity are it's just fear. I mean, it's like the force that interferes with everything cool happening in the world. It's fear, and the fear in this case takes the form of a reticence on the part of people who finance games and distribute them to take a risk on unproven things. And that's fine, and that makes complete sense. I mean, you don't want to hand $15 million to some new group of people who have a crazy idea. But I take exception with that when you're fearful of giving somebody with an awesome track record of making beautiful things the opportunity to make the next cool, beautiful thing, simply because it's different from the others. I mean, we've seen now, if you look at it, there are some terrific examples of this. Bungie seceding from Microsoft. Why? Because they didn't want to make Halo 4. I mean, there's a group of people who came up with Halo and 10,000 other ideas, prototyped a bunch of them, and what do they get to do? Well, commercially, the pressure is keep making Halo. Well, we don't really want to keep making the same game over. That's not why we did this. And that's the kind of financial freedom I'm talking about, is the ability to do something new and cool. And the thing that's broken is when, as an industry, you fail to take bets on those people who have done great things and shown their ability to innovate and make games that inspire the audience and that are really great business, and you fail to be able to give those people the chance to make the next franchise and the next thing. Because if you analyze the business, it's those franchises that are the thing that drive everything. When you think of why you're a gamer, you think of like some number of games, and you think of that feeling that you have the first time you played the first Ratchet and Clank, or the first time you played Halo, or the first time you played Grand Theft Auto. It was this awesome thing. It took you somewhere and did something to you that never happened before. And it's not exactly technology, it's not exactly art, it's not exactly music or animation or anything, it's the combination of those things. So how do you engineer a situation on purpose in which like people are taking bets on that next thing and giving the opportunity to people, and it won't always work out, but to the right people, to talented people to do that. And that was our idea there, and that's essentially what I'm still doing today.
So what were you trying? How were you actually going to make that happen as Capital Entertainment Group? You're 4 guys leaving Microsoft with a bunch of connections.
Yeah, I thought I had a big reputation. I could go walk into some VCs and they'd hand me a bunch of cash.
And
that was the sum total of the model.
Awesome. That didn't happen.
No, it wasn't really. But no, it was the worst time to raise money probably in the last 100 years, with no exaggeration, because of the dot-com crash, period. So, we had this experience that a lot of people had who were trying to start businesses at that time, which was a lot of people who got right up to the edge of investing and couldn't for various reasons. Chief among them was that, the demographic of people who have the money to invest in ventures like this is slightly too old to be in the video game demographic. So it's something which is always a little abstract. You see a lot of people investing in film, a lot of people putting crazy money behind movies because they grew up as kids watching movies and they're passionate about it, and it's a great thing they can connect to emotionally. And they can make what are in some cases relatively stupid investments in movies because it's something that's really great to them. And even if they lose it all, like they've been able to be a part of it. And that group of people doesn't quite exist yet for games. So we got a bunch of money from one investor and used that to start some projects and began looking for more money. And in the second round of looking for money, I met these guys from this talent agency in Hollywood who kept calling, and I had no idea who they were, so I didn't call them back. And it turned out they were calling to try to offer me a job because they saw what I was trying to do. Reading the crap I'd said on the internet was exactly for game developers what they did for movie people, and they wanted me to go do it there.
And so was it the opportunity to go work with CAA, a company that basically packages stuff in similar ways to what you were trying to do with CEG that led you to go, or was it? It was CEG went away, and you're going, oh my God, how do I make my mortgage payment, or how did?
Well, it's always a combination of both. It's interesting. In the interim, I had produced with the majority of the effort coming from my wife, a child, and since she built him in her body, which is pretty fabulous. It works just like it's advertised. It's interesting, but it changes things. Because now, previous to that, if you screwed up everything and ended up living in a cardboard box, okay, cool, no error, no foul, we're good. But then you think about other things. But the real point was that I had definitively failed to create on purpose a situation that would enable any sort of progress forward in my egotistical view of having any influence on this. A way for games to move forward as a medium with Xbox, and we were in the middle of failing to do it with CEG, and I finally went to CAA and had this interview, and I saw 200 people whose entire job was taking ideas from their clients and finding some money to make it to give them the opportunity to do the project. It's like, well, okay, that's the point then. Okay, so could I stand being a Hollywood agent? And looking back at what I mockingly call a career that I've had as a musician, then as a physicist, then as a game designer, then as a God knows what at Microsoft, then as a failed financier, I was like, hey, Hollywood agent? Yeah, that is the obvious next step.